thrilled and honored to be out on Dave and Colleen's farm today to hear the inspiring words that you, Carl, gave us earlier in terms of the challenge to me as the leader of the Green Party and the first elected Green Party member of Parliament representing Saanich and the Gulf Islands. My riding is also largely rural, and we have big fights in our community where people are trying to protect our farmland from encroaching development, trying to keep productive farmland. Even if this quarry didn't represent the threat it does to the headwaters, to the groundwater, the threat it represents to water is absolutely incredible. I mean, incredible in that I still have a hard time believing the statistics. 600 million liters of water a day they plan to pump. 600 million liters, it's mind-boggling. But even if this quarry was nothing more than paving over 2,400 acres of the best farmland in this province, we should oppose it with every fiber of our being because we don't get good farmland like this. There is no replacement for it. And what it means to Ontarians, and this is a big part of the Greens' policies, federally and provincially, is that we need in this country to protect our farmers, to grow local food so that our kids can eat healthy food. It's a very important pillar of all our policies. When I look at this project, what I see is an assault on our climate policies because of this over 7,000 trucks that would be moving through here, on our water policy because we'd be drying out. I don't see how it is sustainable. How could anyone imagine 600 million liters of water a day pumped out of groundwater could possibly be sustainable? And it's that groundwater that irrigates this farm, it irrigates the farm next door, and we're only one farm away from where the quarry would begin. This is land that must not be sacrificed to the greed of a foreign corporation. This land must not be sacrificed. So when I look at all those issues, this Sunday coming up, of course, is the anniversary of the terrible attacks in New York, 9/11. And every time you open the newspapers over the next few days, you'll see discussions of Canada's security. Are we more secure? Are we less secure? How do we protect ourselves? The security agenda is on everybody's mind. Since September 11th, by the way, it turns out Canada has spent a staggering $92 billion on what's considered security. But this project is what really threatens our security. It threatens energy security and climate, it threatens water security, and it threatens food security. This is the security threat Canadians need to wake up and face, and it doesn't cost $92 billion to fight it. It takes political leadership. I mean, we're thrilled that the McGuinty government finally called for an environmental assessment. I was yahooing away on my Twitter. I was so happy. I was so proud of you guys for the fight you put up. But let's face it, political leadership isn't calling for an environmental assessment. That's minimal political responsibility to do the right thing. Minimal. That's letting it be studied before they make a colossal mistake. Political leadership is saying no. Political leadership is saying, over my dead body, do you dig up this farmland for a mega quarry? And that's what Mike Schreiner is saying to you, that's what Rob Strang is saying to you, that's what Ard Van Leeuwen's always said. And what we're going to do in this election campaign provincially is we're going to teach them all a lesson who don't understand how to side for what's right and protect real security. Protect food security, water security, climate security. By electing Rob Strang as the first elected MPP in Queen's Park, you'll be sending one hell of a message to everybody else who never understood that it really matters to protect farmland. And that's what I want to see happen in this election campaign. Now, when I said Rob will be the first, he won't be the only one, Mike. But I think when you look at the dynamics, where are the provincial Conservatives? Where's Tim Hudak on this issue? Nowhere. Can you find him? He's in hiding. He's laying very low. So low, so very low, that you won't be able to scare him out of the bushes. What I will do now, speaking as a federal leader in Ottawa, and I want to salute in a very nonpartisan spirit, because I was in the House of Commons when Michael Chong stood up and delivered a forceful statement of why this must not go ahead and why it needs a federal-provincial joint panel review. I must say his colleagues applauded for him. I was standing up and cheering. Michael Chong is a great spokesperson and a great MP. And Kelly Leach's statement and Dave Tilson's statement, these are very important. I stand with them in the House of Commons, not trying to score partisan points. We will do everything possible to make sure this gets the highest order of federal review, the Federal Provincial Panel under the Canadian Environmental Assessment Act. It'll be a little harder than it used to be because the Harper government just cut the budget of the Canadian Environmental Assessment Agency by 40%. It's a walloping big hit. But in the House of Commons, I'll do whatever I can, not just to persuade our government to have a full federal provincial panel review, which would, by the way, not be duplicative. I want to make this point because somebody out there is bound to say, oh, well, there's going to be all these. The provincial environmental assessment announced by the McGuinty government would be part of and brought into a joint federal provincial panel. It would provide intervener funding for groups that are concerned. It will allow us to bring in the experts who would point out with real knowledge and expertise why this is not an acceptable project. And it would allow an impartial group as a panel to recommend to the minister what should be done. We absolutely must have it. So I feel quite confident. For every challenge you put to me, Carl, the answer is yes, yes, and yes. In the House of Commons, I will work with MPs across all party lines, and we will do whatever we can at the federal level to protect this farmland. And in the meantime, please, get out and talk to your friends and neighbors, people who've never voted Green in their life, people who've only voted Conservative. It's time for them to ask themselves why. It's time for them to decide whether they don't want to make sure that in a democracy, their vote sends the clearest possible message that farmland matters, that it's more than something that's under our feet that we never think about, which is, I think, how some urban people think. This land is pure gold, and you do not sacrifice it to some foreign aggregate operation. Never, ever. Never allow this farmland to be developed. We stand with you in that spirit till the very moment when whatever we have to do, we will do. They will not develop this land. Thank you.